at Gilly also have this, they're installed in such a manner that you can't climb under them, right, and you can't fall under them, which is this.
They meet all of the New York State
Right.
standards, which are probably twice the cost of the rest of the country, but that's the way it is.
Right.
We buy these prefab bleachers to fit, different sizes, and we've pretty good experience with the other number of other fields that we put them in over the last 8 to 10 years.
But you've got double safety improvement because you lose the splintering wood and you lose the
we
ability
also
of kids to
have
get
them be ADA compliant, which these are. So they're the wheelchair spaces are the bleachers. They're completely aluminum extrusions, so there's no painting, natural finish. You wouldn't have any maintenance. Because those we identified this about 3 or 4 years ago, and then the funding just got removed. We never did it, but in the meantime, we sanded down all the wooden things. We stained them, just to try to extend the life of them until we got to this point where we just had really no other option. And there's a little piece of sidewalk or walkway that's necessary as well to get to these concrete work. So it's the concrete pads, the base, which we can get done virtually as soon as the weather breaks. The bleachers themselves have a somewhat long lead time, but if we had the funding now, we'd order those in at least 6 to 8 weeks, and then we'd be ready to put them in.
One minor point, way back when with the kids, visiting them, I don't remember the crowds, the first round of kids, I don't remember the crowds being that great. Now with the second round with the grandkids going over, again, I think your point about do you need all of those bleachers? My sense is, I don't know, Tom, you're over there with the kids. I haven't seen them filled up like, so I think the idea to have less is probably a smart move. It sounds like you got some gigantic games going on there. Lots of use, but I don't think you got high volume on the bleachers.
And having the aluminum bleachers, for a few dollars extra, you can get the caddies so that you can move the bleachers. You can use them for special events. They're easy to look and light, to move around. You can take them to another park if you have to. So
that sounds like a good move.
The general question that raised by your question of how do we err in terms of setting the size of the project. What happens when we set an amount for a project and the bids come in and they're over what was previously authorized?
You come back to
blood pressure goes up.
Yeah, all right, well, I understood. I mean,
we either come back to or the scope gets modified somehow in the project.
Because I'm sort of
depends
thinking,
on the quantity.
if we think it's a slightly smaller project than was originally envisioned, my personal preference would be for us to then reduce the capital project, and then if it's necessary upon bids to come back to us, well, at least then be
the timing then, because when the bids come out, then you really have to make the decision fairly quickly, and if you have to hit the next council meeting and wait, then and I'm not trying to, it's just I've been down this road a long time, and it's better sometimes to just err a little bit. We don't spend the money if we don't need it, of course, and it comes back, and it all goes back to general fund. In this case, it's bonds, and they just don't even borrow that much money to, so that there's really no harm done, if you will. And yet we can react quickly because the bids come in, and if they're low, sometimes it's worth it to add on a little bit, even if we think there's 260 seats ahead. That's what there are right now. Maybe the way it breaks out, it's easy to make it 300 for very little as a percentage. It's very little extra, and it turns out that Recreation Park says, sometimes we do get extra people and there's an overflow and we have the space, then there's no time like then to do it. But if they're more expensive than we had addressed, then maybe 220 seats is the right number and we meet the budget. So it's a flexible thing.
Yeah, I guess